What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Gaming Without Parole. Sitting across from me, as always, Desiree.
And sitting across from me, Brian Paul.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
You've stumbled across the world's greatest podcast regarding video games. There are no facts in that sentence.
No, totally. This is the only video game podcast.
The only one out there.
Yes.
This is Without Parole Games' premiere, very serious podcast about video games.
Yes.
If you like what you see, please subscribe to Without Parole Games on YouTube. And if you feel like contributing to the show, then we are now a Patreon-supported show. So go to patreon.com/withoutparolegames. Throw us a couple bucks. If not, we get it. Keep watching us for free. As long as you're enjoying the content, that's what matters most.
Yeah. And I gotta say, we don't we don't hope to make like huge amounts of money, but Brian here works his tail off, ass off, butt off, depending on which is less offensive for you.
I like tails.
Tails.
I want a tail. Ever since I saw Animaniacs, I always wish I had big floppy ears and tails I could tug on.
We can do that. We have the technology.
I've had too much coffee.
But seriously, I mean, every little bit helps out and makes sure that we can get this content out every week, because this poor guy is just falling apart. Not really, but...
Well, hair's falling out.
Yeah.
Your ears are still there. I can tug on my ears. Oh no, that one was important. Before we get started on this week's topic, I think it's very important to note that Nathan Smith,
yes.
Thank you. Nathan Smith.
Friend of the show, and friend of me.
There we go. Watched our Why We Love Bad Games episode and called us out on something that I thought was true and turned out to be false. So we want to issue a retraction right now. Turns out that the magazine, PS Extreme, is real. I had no idea, which is crazy because now that I've gotten in my grubby little hands and I'm able to flip... Oh no, that's kind of a green cover. Are we going to have issues with that?
Oh, we'll find out.
Maybe. I flipped through, I saw the graphic design work, and I was like, oh my god, I had a subscription to this when I was a kid. But more importantly, I looked into the back, the PS Extreme historical ranking chart. Turns out they actually gave Bubsy 3D a 93% and a Gold X award, just as printed on the front of Bubsy 3D, the game.
So not only do we have to retract the incorrect factual information, I now have to retract my review. Because I said very clearly that, oh my gosh, I hate this game so much, it's awful. Then you told me the factoid about them creating a fake magazine and a fake review. I immediately went 100%, I love these people now, this is a fantastic game, fantastic company. Now that we found out they didn't fake the review, and they didn't fake the magazine, I'm back to hating everything about it.
Now it's just a crappy game with nothing redeemed.
It's a crappy game with a friend who works in the magazine, which is the only explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you, Nathan.
Yeah.
I've never called you Nathan in my entire life. Wow. Thank you, Nate, for sharing that. And, yes, if you want to follow him, he's at Nathan Rex Smith on Twitter. But yeah, thank you very much. And for anyone else out there, if you find a mistake we've made, we said something wrong, if you can back it up, go ahead and hit us in the comments, or you can hit me on Twitter. I'm at Dezrah, Dezrah, on Twitter. And we want to be shown that we were wrong.
And I'm at right there at That Would Be Dark, Death Note reference. You don't know what I'm talking about? Go watch Death Note. It's awesome.
Yes.
Let's get back on topic.
Yes, we have a topic.
It's already going to be a long episode as it is.
That's okay.
Even longer now. We're going to talk about a very controversial but very popular video game console.
Could you say it's the most popular video game console of all time?
I could, because I have facts to back that up.
Ooh.
This is the Nintendo Wii. Sold 101.5 million consoles worldwide.
101.5 million consoles.
Making it the most popular console of all time.
That's making it one of the most popular consumer electronics of all time.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, you're throwing on our numbers like millions all the time, but think about that. I mean, there's almost 300 million people in the United States alone. So that would be if every human being, from the youngest baby to the oldest octogenarian, 1 out of every 3 of them had one of these.
Crazy.
It's insane.
Now, it's funny you bring up old people.
Old people are funny. You're correct. Next topic.
Octogenarian. What is that?
Octogenarian. People who are in their 80s.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Good, old people.
Nonagenarian, septuagenarian.
They're not watching, so we can call them old.
And if you are watching, please leave us a comment and say how offended you are by Brian's insensitive comments.
Our demographic is like 13 to 17 years old. If you're watching this and you're older than that...
Thank you. Hello.
How did you find this?
Seriously, we would like to know.
Did your nephew tell you about us? Old people bought this console. Yeah. Everybody bought this console. Nintendo found a way to get this console into everybody's household, regardless of whether those people enjoyed video games or not. Everybody I knew had one of these, again, regardless of whether they played video games.
Because it wasn't a video game.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was the marketing, you know, for the hardcore gamer. And there's still some of you out there are still like, oh, the Wii isn't a real console, blah blah blah. That's the point.
I think part of the genius is right here: the motion-controlled remote control.
Yes,
this is affectionately referred to as a Wiimote. If you look at it, it looks like a remote control. You hold it in your hand like a remote control. Who would be uncomfortable holding this? A PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360 controller? They look scary for people who don't play video games.
It's massively intimidating if you've never played a video game. It's like, there's 15 buttons here. I only have this many fingers.
Right. And ultimately, this was a D-pad with one giant button and a couple other options, but generally that's all you needed.
And yeah, it's absolutely like, this is something you could hand to every member of your family, and just they can go and have fun.
Yep.
And again, they went specifically after that market. Nintendo wasn't like, no, we're not going to go after the hardcore gamer. You know, this was released a whole year after the Xbox 360.
Exactly, and in the same month as the PlayStation 3.
And you know, specs-wise, hardware-wise, it couldn't hold a candle to either of them.
Nope, not even close.
But that's not the game they were playing. They were deciding, you know what, everyone else is aiming so hard at this tiny little demographic. And although, yes, that tiny demographic was responsible for most console sales, most games, you know, your hardcore gamers, turns out, if you spread a little wider and want to aim your console at everyone, you can sell a whole lot more.
Now, turned out to be sort of a fluke. Nintendo tried the same thing again with Wii U, to miserable results.
Yes.
I mean, there were certainly marketing concerns that they didn't have quite the same marketing as the Wii had, and so maybe the messaging was just wrong, and maybe this could happen again, but kind of highly doubt it. This was a 1 in a million console that just appealed to everybody. It also, because of that, I think it also gets a bad rep, right?
Oh yeah, no question. No, because it was so popular, because, you know, everyone wanted a Wii, everyone had a Wii, it really attracted people who were looking to make easy money.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, having a Wii game for a little while was a license to print money. So the Wii got saddled with the reputation of having just a bunch of crappy games.
Yep. And so hardcore gamers kind of never gave it a second chance. No. So we're here today to tell you why we love the Wii, and why, if you never gave it a chance, maybe it's time to look at it. Maybe it's time to see that there are games for the hardcore audience. I'm at least going to dish out some hardcore games. I don't know exactly what you have to share. But you had mentioned, bringing up my first game here, that it couldn't hold a candle power-wise to the PS3 or 360. And although true, my first game could.
It's called Candle Power-wise.
It's actually called Fragile Dreams, Farewell Ruins of the Moon.
That's a mouthful.
Sure was. I'm not even going to go on with that. Yep, look back here. Look how amazing this game looks.
It does look good, actually.
So,
that's a Wii game.
It's a Wii game. Crazy.
That's great. Yeah.
It looks amazing. I remember seeing screenshots of this in EGM and saying, why are they bringing this to the Wii?
Yeah.
Why aren't they bringing this to the PS3 that I'm eventually going to buy? 3 years down the road when it's cheap enough for me to afford. Fragile Dreams was a team effort between Namco Bandai,
which explains something. Yeah.
Exactly, and Tri Crescendo. If you're not familiar with Tri Crescendo,
no.
They made Baten Kaitos on the GameCube.
I actually like that game quite a bit.
And on the PS3, Eternal Sonata, which is another great RPG.
I also like that game quite a bit.
Yeah, they knew what they're doing.
Wow.
Yeah, they're a great developer.
They are. Are they still a going concern, or?
No.
We don't. Oh.
Not from what I can tell. They may... Yeah. Don't quote us on that, Nate. Not really sure if they're still going strong. They may have been absorbed into Namco Bandai, or
Okay.
who knows exactly what happened. But I could not find any notable game post Eternal Sonata that they were involved in.
Because the card on
Baten
Baten
Kaitos, yeah.
that was actually a game I wanted to talk about at some point. So
Oh,
that's cool.
well,
All right.
when we talk about our love for the GameCube, it'll be top on the list. But as you can
Notes.
see, the graphics are like, I mean, maybe technically, like horsepower-wise, there's not a lot going on behind the scenes, but aesthetically,
It's gorgeous.
it is gorgeous.
Yeah.
I love the character models in this. I love the character
Design.
design. That's what I'm going for. It's this awesome blend of third person action, but mostly exploration mixed in with like a RPG slant, and it's also kind of survival horror. It's like everything
Wow.
I love about games is in this, and you use the Wii remote as your flashlight.
Okay.
And for an exploration kind of game, it actually works out pretty well.
And that's a common theme in a lot of although I mean I'm sure it worked out in this
Yeah.
game. A lot of times you get these games like, okay, it's a regular game, and then you wave this around because it's a flashlight.
Right.
Yeah, that's so.
So, and I think I actually picked games that were unique to the Wii, and also used the motion controls effectively. I think that was sort of my criteria of
Yeah.
choosing games.
Yep.
Now, this game starts off, and you're a 15-year-old boy named Seito. No one's making fun of me. Yeah, this is great. If this was the Midnight Games cast, everyone would look at me and be like, do you have him trapped into your floorboards?
Well, no, because clearly there's no floorboards here. This is laminate. He'd
Yes.
obviously be in the closet.
So, as 15-year-old Seito, you start the game as this boy, and your grandfather or the man who you've been living with, he had just died, and he leaves you with a message saying, "Go find my flashlight and head east. You may find other survivors there. No promises." So,
That's creepy.
right? So it sounds like you're leaving this house for the first time in a very, very long time, and you venture out into the world, this beautiful world,
Yeah.
and it's post-apocalyptic, like, but a nice kind of soothing, relaxing post. It's really strange. You find weapons like sticks and slingshots and golf clubs and crossbows. They're all
time.
breakable. Anytime you see fireflies, you want to go investigate that area because it means something's available
Okay.
to be found. It's just an awesome game. It didn't even get great reviews, honestly. I was looking for my Metacritic scores. I thought I had Metacritic scores for everybody. I don't.
Okay.
Um,
That's right. We're giving you our opinion, not Metacritic from 10 years ago. So.
True. In my opinion, is the anime cutscenes in this game very well animated. Very well animated and slightly pervy. Just a little bit.
Only slightly?
Where it goes, "Hey, Brian Paul, you want to play this?" But it also appeals to the mainstream. So it's not crazy over the top pervy, like a Galgun. Oh, we'll do a special on that. Oh, yeah. Oh, Galgun.
Game Without Parole After Dark.
You're on my radar. and that's kind of it. This is an amazing game. It's about 12 hours long, so it's not going to take up all of your time, and that's kind of exactly the right amount of time for me to play a game, get invested, and then get out.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
What do you got?
So I'm actually this isn't like a hidden gem.
Mhm.
This isn't some deep dark cut, but I'm going to start off with New Super Mario Wii.
Right on.
It is one of the themes I found in the Wii games, even though it gets a lot of crap for sometimes maybe being gimmicky.
Okay.
The games that Nintendo usually puts out, I think for the Wii, I think they perfected them in a lot of ways. Like so if you've never played it, and if you've never played it, well, go literally hit pause, go out and get this. New Super Mario Wii goes back to your good old-fashioned side-scrolling world.
Yeah.
Now that there was the original for the DS, the Super Mario, the
New Super Mario Brothers. Yeah.
But this is the first time it came to your living room console since I think Super Mario 3.
We had World and
Oh, Super Mario
Yoshi's
World,
Island.
yes. Yeah, but
And-
Yoshi's, that's
Right.
a little
Yeah.
outlier. Although that's a fantastic game in
It
itself.
is.
But
Sorry. Yeah, this is the first time since then that there was a 2D Mario game at home.
and what it definitely did, and this is the first time any Mario game has done this since the original Mario Brothers, multiplayer
Oh, yes.
on the screen at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is actually one of Miyamoto's goals for the system. He finally said, "Oh, I wanted to do this for ages. This is the first time we've had a hardware that's able to do this." So it is, I mean, as pure of a platformer as it gets. I think it's one of the most creative and beautiful. It's fun to look at.
It does. It looks really nice.
It looks great. The controls, on the Wii are really responsive. It doesn't get super gimmicky with how you shake it to spin your character around. And a few, you tilt it to move some platforms around. But it's just a well-built platformer.
Mm-hmm.
It's a well-built Mario game. And I lost my train of thought. There's something that started off with there. So you can play by yourself and have a great time. Do the challenges. What's really nice is they actually introduced what do they call it? The something mode. I can't even remember the name. Oh, Super Guide.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
It's a little controversial, too.
A little controversial, but I kind of like it because you know what? Again, I'm an adult. Don't have all this time. If I just
we got
died
things to
15
do.
times trying to do this,
Yeah.
maybe a hit would be okay.
Yeah.
The other thing, and this actually goes back to the controversial for my household, is that multiplayer.
Oh, jeez.
Because you can call it multiplayer, or you can call it what we called it, divorce mode.
Yeah.
Because the problem is your character will only move as far as the slowest person in your party,
Right.
and death and dismemberment can happen, and so very challenging, very fun. It's one of those, oh, this is great, we can all play it together at the same time, but you want to pick your partners properly. My wife and I learned that this is not a game we can play together.
No. And you can really screw the other person up pretty bad. 'Cause
absolutely.
If you're jumping and you land on somebody's head, they're not going to make that jump.
No. But on the flip side, it does allow you to do amazing things as well, because you can pick up your partner and throw them, and just I'm not that good at these games, but I actually enjoy that you can unlock videos that will show just these crazy combos of 4 players like teaming up together, and it's actually fun to watch.
Right on.
So what else? Oh, it is the 4th best-selling game on the Wii.
Do we have numbers?
No,
it's
maybe
okay.
we'll get maybe sometime later. There'll be some. It is also this kind of blew me away. It sold. Well, let's see if you can guess. In 4 days in Japan, its first 4 days of launch, how many copies do you think it sold?
Well, Japan's a small country.
It is a small country.
First 4 days,
The first 4 days.
300,000.
No.
More?
Yes.
500,000.
More.
800,000.
More.
12 million.
Not quite.
2 million.
Chat passed it. 900,000 in 4 days.
That's insane.
And as you said, yes, Japan is a small country. That is 900,000 copies of this game in 4 days, in less than a week.
Yeah, just to put it in perspective, in case you're unfamiliar with Japan, if most games, if they sell 900,000 copies in their lifetime in Japan, they're considered a rousing success. Rousing success? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Okay, it is now.
It is the fastest selling game ever made for a single console.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
There are games that have sold more, but none have sold more faster
Okay.
for a single console.
That's crazy.
Yeah. We get a little kind of caught up in stats. Let's just worry about the game itself. But I think that's really important. This is, let's see. Well, the original Super Mario Bros. Came out in 1985, was it?
Roughly.
So they've had 20 years to perfect the formula,
Yeah.
and they did it. I mean, I think there's been other games since then, other new Super Mario Brothers sequels,
Yeah.
and I think they just start piling on more and more and more. I think, and this is going to be kind of a common refrain for me, I think they nailed it with the Wii. The hardware was there, the excitement was there, they poured all the love they had into it, and they came out with, I think, it may be controversial, I think it's the best Mario platformer.
Super controversial.
Very
Because for me, it's always a toss-up between Mario 3 and Mario World.
Mario 3 is really, really good.
Yeah.
Is really, really good.
Yeah.
But, man, you know what? That's toughy. All right.
We'll get back to
While I
that.
ponder that.
All right. I also want to talk about. Now this is a strange one. This should be
We like
very
strange.
well known.
We like strange.
Yeah, this one's called The Conduit. Well, now, The Conduit came out in 2009. It was published by Sega, but it was developed by
Sega.
developed by High Voltage Software.
High voltage conduit. Noticing a theme.
Hunter the Reckoning was their game before this one. I
that
believe that was a
sounds familiar.
GameCube, maybe Xbox
Yeah.
original game. I know I have it. I don't know if it's any good.
I've got a sense of bad taste in my mouth from that. Was that the Turok
No,
knockoff? No, okay.
no. They are still around though. High Voltage Software. They helped make Injustice: God Among Us, the fighting
Really?
game, the DC
Okay.
fighting game,
Yeah.
and Mortal Kombat X, which the exact same engine, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're still doing good stuff. Now, this is Conduit is a first-person shooter on the Wii, and High Voltage Software, it was their goal, it's their mission in life to be the best Wii developer of all time. And I think maybe not the greatest game, but they developed something called the Quantum 3 engine, and that's what they made their games on.
Okay.
And
I have heard of that.
oh, good. That's fantastic. Because their goal was to bring this console that had not as much power as the PS3 and the 360,
Yep.
but they wanted to create graphics on this console that rivaled those systems. And with the Conduit, they did.
That's a tall order, but looking at the evidence,
It's a good-looking game. The reflections on the water, they managed to do bump mapping, and the whole thing runs at 30 frames a second, like silky smooth, and some of the effects are really kind of killer. Now, let me just make sure I have all my information here. There's an alien invasion going on in this game. The aliens are called the Drudge. There's a bunch of political conspiracies. It's the story.
wait a second. The aliens are called the Drudge, and it's about a bunch of political conspiracies.
Drudge Report.
I got it. Clever.
Yeah. The story's fine. I wanted to like this story. It never really comes together, and it's one of those where, like, just when things are getting good, well, the credits are rolling.
If I play games for a story, well, I would just be reading now, wouldn't I? Wait, no. That's exactly the opposite of what I
always
say.
play games for stories. Let's see. Oh, my biggest problem, they made all these beautiful environments.
Right.
And you run through them, but something feels wrong. You're like staring at computer monitors, and you're like, I'm going to shoot the crap out of that.
Yeah.
No, you can't even. Like, nothing in this game is destructible. So maybe that's where, like, the limitations were. But I will say, as in Fragile Dreams, you used the Wiimote for a flashlight.
Right.
This actually kind of nailed the first-person shooter. Like, most games use it the right analog stick for aiming.
Yeah.
Right? But all you have to do with this, point at the screen. No problem. All set. Good to go.
Yeah.
And it really worked out pretty well.
And it's surprising more games didn't do that, because it seems like the obvious solution. Maybe there's some kind of, like, behind-the-scenes coding kung fu that we don't understand that makes that really difficult. Or maybe it's just like these were the only people who were like, guys, can't we try that? Because, yeah, it seems very obvious.
I think when Wii Motion Plus, the attachment for this controller came out, there should have been a lot more at that time.
Yes.
But I think by that point, everyone realized, you know, just because there's millions of Wiis out there, doesn't mean our game's going to sell real well.
Yeah.
So I think that's when most people were jumping ship, right? There was some really cool AI in this game too. I think that really stands out. If like you're running low on ammo, it seems like the enemies all know that and they swarm you.
Oh.
Or if you're
That's
like
fun.
really kicking ass, they'll retreat and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna find cover." It's pretty interesting to see
And that's
smart enemies in games. We still don't get that in a
right,
lot of
especially with
games.
that early, actually. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty...
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And that's kind of all I have to say about the Conduit. It did get a sequel, so it must have sold okay. But yeah, it's just evidence that the Wii was probably capable of more than we gave it credit for, being underpowered horsepower wise.
Well, I think that's true. I mean, I think we see that cycle with every console anyways.
Yeah.
You know, you have the big splashy things when it first comes out. It's like, look at what we can do. And eventually you hit, sort of a ceiling on, okay, well, we've done all the easy stuff we can.
Right.
And at near the end of the life cycle, you get the people who are really just figuring out how to get every nook and cranny, every last inch of performance out of it. It sounds like these folks started right off the bat, like, what can we make this thing do?
Absolutely.
Which is a great attitude to start with. So, yeah.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, High Voltage.
So for my next one, I'm picking another hugely controversial pick for the Wii. In fact, I can say probably without question that everyone here will say this is the worst possible call I could have made. Wii Sports.
Sold like 80 million copies.
It actually, 82.78 million copies.
That obviously includes the ones that were packed in with the Wii.
It was, yes, it does include that. And which, you say, oh, well, that's cheating. Well, no, it's not cheating, because actually they had stopped packaging in games with the Wii.
Oh, yeah.
With Nintendo consoles. This is the first time, actually, since the Virtual Boy that a game had been bundled, had been bundled with a Nintendo console. And here's the other thing: it was not a Mario title.
Yeah,
you got to remember that this is like a Nintendo console being launched with a game included that wasn't Mario. In fact, actually, this is kind of something interesting. Originally, they intended it to be a Mario character game.
Okay,
it was going to be like a Mario Sports kind of thing, but testers didn't like it. They liked the Miis better.
Wow.
They liked putting the work into the Miis and then seeing them play themselves on the screen. So the Mario characters were scrapped.
That's fair.
And the Miis were introduced.
That's fair. I totally get that.
And again, it goes back to their, they wanted to make this something that was easy for anyone to pick up.
Yeah.
The sports, the reason they went for a sports theme was because sports were something that were more universal than anything else. They could have come up with, the Mario game. They very easily could have been, some Super Mario version of a game. But they went with sports, and sports that were fairly universal. I mean, baseball may not be that universal, but in the two biggest markets for this product, Japan and the United States, baseball is huge.
Do you have a list of all the sports that were involved in this?
We have baseball, tennis, boxing, and I thought I could do this off the top of my head. And golf.
Yep.
Baseball, tennis, boxing, golf, and there was
Bowling.
one more. Bowling.
Now, kudos to Nintendo, because they really could have milked this for a lot more. They could have been like, all right, here's your $30 boxing game. Here's your $30 bowling game.
Sure.
They're not full price, but, they're good experiences. And they could have been more fleshed out, of course. But Wii Sports as a packing game or your first title for the Wii, I'm going to say a very good percentage of all people who bought a Wii never bought another game, because Wii Sports is what they bought it for.
Yep. And it was, it wasn't just a game that was, again, attracting people who aren't normally gamers. It was a game that was also showing off what the console could do.
Yes.
It was changing the way people thought they could interact with games. And every motion control we've seen since then, the Kinect, with the PlayStation Move, and all that, have been trying to recapture this. But, and Nintendo nailed it. Here's another interesting thing about this. Wii Sports, according to the research I did, is the number 3 top-selling game of all time.
I'm actually surprised it's not the highest-selling game of all time.
There are 2 that beat it. Now, I want to ask you, because we should have talked about this beforehand.
Maybe.
Do you want me to tell you, or do you want to see if our listener or watchers, viewers is the word I'm lgoing for, can guess and put it in the... actually, no, because then you're going to look it up on Wikipedia. And that's
I'm going to guess.
All right, well, let's see if we can guess.
There's going to be a Mario Kart that is more popular than this.
Okay.
And maybe a Mario Brothers.
I'm not just saying for the Wii. This is games of all time.
I'm kind of still there.
All right.
We're
going for Mario's?
I'm going for Mario's. Something like a Pac-Man or something. I feel like probably not. I'm gonna go with Mario Kart and one of the mainline Mario games, like Mario.
All right. I'll even let you be generic and say just a Mario game.
Because it's not right.
It's not either of those.
Okay, tell me.
So one of the games you have a blind spot on anyways, so I'm not surprised you missed it. The number 2 best-selling game of all time, as of, I think it was March 2016 was the last date this article had, so It may have changed.
I'm already going to hate this. What is it?
Minecraft.
How did I not think of that?
Yeah, well, like
I
I told
own
you, have a
two
blind
different
spot.
versions of it.
You've got a blind spot with Minecraft.
I have it on Vita and PS4. How do I not know that? Okay.
The number one best-selling game of all time, and this is another forehead-slapping thing because, well, anyways,
Tetris.
yes.
Yeah, last minute got it.
Yes.
Yes.
Because, if you count up all the PC versions, all the...
Oh, that's unfair.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Game Boy original version, or the
Right.
not original version, but probably one of the most popular versions
Yes.
on Game Boy and Nintendo, they're different consoles. You can't say Tetris and then include
Well, it
everything.
was the best-selling game of all time.
Okay.
But, which... Again, it makes sense because it was bundled with the best-selling video game console of all time, but you could buy it separately. And in fact, it's no longer bundled. Well, by the end of the... I should say it's no longer bundled. By the end of its
sale.
life cycle, it wasn't bundled with it anymore anyways. And this is one of the reasons I picked this.
Yeah.
In my research for this, I went to my local GameStop.
Mhm.
And I was just looking around for some cheap Wii games, and I just noticed on the used games, you can buy a used Wii at GameStop for $50.
Okay.
$50.
That's
If you don't have one now, and you may ever have relatives or people coming over, just get one. Get Wii Sports.
And just
Throw it on
as a
the shelf.
small aside, get one that can play GameCube games. Open the side of it.
Yes.
Where the controller ports there's a side that opens up on the side,
Mm-hmm.
and if there are 4 GameCube styled inputs, it can play GameCube games.
Yes.
If those are not there, it cannot.
Mm-hmm.
Now the other thing is, if you don't care about GameCube,
You're
then-
wrong. You're
then-
wrong.
then just wait a year until they're putting all Wii U's on clearance. You can probably get one of those real cheap because the Wii U is backward compatible with Wii.
Right.
So maybe just wait a little bit and then you can kind of do that. Because the Wii U has a pretty decent library, and if you want to get caught up, maybe just do that.
Splatoon. It's worth it for Splatoon. That's a good game.
Yeah. Make me feel like other people.
Well,
We've already been through. I do not. I love Wii Sports.
yeah. It seems like that's an easy answer. No, it's one of the best games for the console. I think it's one of the best games I own in my home.
My best friend's mother bought a Wii. And she was like, you should come to the Cape with us for the weekend. And I was like, okay.
Mhm.
And so they picked me up, and they were like, hey, we got a surprise. We bought a Wii, and we're going to set it up and play at night. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, and I was not interested because I was a hardcore gamer. But we set it up, and I gotta tell you, we played boxing, and we were literally punching at
that was
screen.
my favorite one.
Oh, it was a workout. Mm-hmm. After every round, I was exhausted. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And tennis is super simple, but just fun. Mm-hmm. All of the sports, all of them, I thought were really well done.
Yeah. No, it's we've talked about doing an episode of perfect games, and I think Wii Sports is pretty close to it. It does what it says it's going to do.
Yeah.
It's not in depth, but it's something that hardcore gamer can sit around with his friends' parents who don't even know what a game is, and play. And you have lots, because you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of people who have this game system and never bought another game. I had an uncle who thought the Wii was Wii Sports.
Yeah, well, that doesn't
He was
surprise
like,
me.
oh, I got one of those Wiis. Yeah, let's go play that. And he didn't it was a revelation to him. He's like, oh, you can get more games for this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're definitely running low on time.
Okay.
This is going to be a 2-part
So
episode.
that was the siren.
That was the running low on time siren. But we do want to each throw in one honorable mention for this episode, and then we'll break it up into 2 parts, and we'll start all over next week in the same clothes, surprisingly. My honorable mention for this week, Mad World.
Mad World.
Mad World looks like Sin City. It's black and white, kind of graphic novel looking. The black and white aesthetic is awesome, and it's super, super bloody, so you get black, white, and lots of red. It's crazy. It's made by Sega and Platinum Games, and any gamer out there knows Platinum Games used to be synonymous with quality.
Yeah.
Used to be. Lately, they've really fallen off a cliff with the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game and the
My kids love it.
Transformers game. They're all right. Don't get me wrong. They're okay.
No,
they're
it's not all right.
No, but they are the definition of average these days.
Yeah.
Scalebound, though, they're making that for Xbox One. That looks pretty good.
Okay.
So who knows? Maybe they'll come back. We'll see. But anyway, back in 2009, they created this 5 or 6 hour game, which was amazing. In a time where
In a time.
in a world where everyone thought the Wii was just for kids, Platinum Games and Sega had the balls to put out one of the bloodiest, disgusting, awesome, over-the-top, chop off limbs and heads and chainsaws and throw people into rotating blades and impale them onto spikes. Like,
Good times.
this is a game that got a mature rating for a very, very good reason.
And of course, it was a massive success, right?
No. Apparently, no one wanted adult games on the Wii. It did not sell very well. We'll never hear from Mad World again. But the whole thing took place inside of a game show called Death Watch, where people had to beat the crap out of each other. And Yasumi Macedo, I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. Yasumi Macedo.
Yasumi.
He's a writer of Final Fantasy games. He actually penned the story to Mad World.
All right.
Which is why it has actually an amazing story. Like, as you progress through the game, like, there's these twists and turns, and it's just really well written. There is kind of almost nothing wrong with this game, except that it lived and died on the Wii.
Right.
It was an exclusive, and we just never got it anywhere else. I kind of wish we get a chance. IGN called it one of the great beat-em-ups of our time.
Wow.
So, there you have it. Definitely get Mad World if you have a Wii.
I love it. Anytime a developer decides to think out of the box and come up with something that's just so graphically different than everything else.
Right.
I mean, not graphically, like violently. I mean, just visually, design-wise. You know what? We have this huge system. We're going to make a black and white game. Yes.
Right.
That's fantastic. Huge applause for them trying that. Unfortunately, they went out to prove that it wasn't just for kids, and they did prove something. They proved that, well, maybe it wasn't the right market for that.
It was a real shame. Hopefully, Platinum's still around. Hopefully they still own the rights, and maybe they'll get to try again someday.
So I'm going to make my honorable mention super short.
Okay.
Because there's not a lot to describe about this game, but this is, like, at my house, this game is a huge hit. It still is. Cooking Mama, which version? The Cook-Off. Cooking Mama Cook-Off.
Okay.
It's, you know what? It's very simple. If you ever played like a WarioWare style game where also you just get a direction, you have to do something really quick, you sort of have to figure it out as it's going. It's that kind of thing. The aesthetic, it's very shiny, happy Japanese, very kawaii is what the kids are calling it these days. Actually, what it's been called since the 60s in Japan, but
Just
anyways.
means kind of cute, right?
Yeah. The voice acting I absolutely love. It's not like like racist stereotype of Japanese, but it is very thickly accented Japanese speaking English. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to try and imitate it because there's no way I can do that without sounding massively racist.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, I won't do it. I won't do that.
We've already got enough troubles without Pearl Games.
But it's absolutely, you mess up and don't worry, Mama will help you, and it's a lot of fun. The only thing with my kids were very little. When you mess up, Mama gets all red and angry in the face, and that actually kind of scared them. But
really?
Cooking Mama, the Cook-Off one, you can play head to head. Any other versions, it's a good fun.
And just to throw this out there as a brief aside, Cooking Mama, when you brought it up to me, I was like, in my head I thought, oh, shovelware. And that's the problem, is that there was so much shovelware on the Wii that things like this got lost so easily. There
were a lot of later versions of Cooking Mama, as I found out, but this one, and there was a Cooking Mama, like an international one, or like World Search or something like that. Those were pretty good, but they did kind of peter out as things went on.
Right.
But that's the thing, don't instantly like knee jerk. Oh, Wii games are awful. A lot of them are.
Yeah, do some research before you start buying them in bulk.
Or watch the next episode.
So, that will do it for this week's episode. But we'll be back next week with a couple more recommendations, a couple more honorable mentions.
And we'll find out what Al Michaels and a cartoon rabbit have in common.
Touche. For Gaming Without Parole, my name is Brian Paul.
For Gaming Without Parole, my name is Desra.
We'll see you next week.